All right, please welcome to the TEDx stage, coach and therapist, mind, body, spirit guru, and kitchen captain, Ms. Rächel Mohammedamin.
My gut is saying that I need to take a deep breath in. So I'm doing that. Trust your gut. Follow your intuition. Sentences that we have been hearing a lot lately. Or the question, what does your gut say? Or what is your intuition saying? Nowadays, when I open up my feed, I see a lot of these inspirational quotes becoming a trend. But what does it really mean? What does intuition really mean? I looked it up in a dictionary. And what it said was the ability to understand something without conscious reasoning. So in this talk, I want to take you on a journey to why the sixth sense of intuition can be seen as a sixth sense, intuition, and also in cooking and day-to-day life. Taking you back to my mom's kitchen. Because since was a little girl, I was fascinated about the stories food could tell. I would stand in the kitchen watching my mother cook these luscious, delicious dishes without the use of a recipe. I would often say to her, "Mom, what are you putting in these dishes?" She would look at me. Barely said anything, but what she did, she made me look in those pans. And she made me smell things. She made me touch ingredients and taste everything. And with everything, I mean everything. Even the most bitter, salty, and funky looking ingredients. She not only made me familiar with ingredients, spices, and herbs, she also made me familiar with my senses. And later on in life, when I wanted to recreate a dish, I would call her up and I ask her, "Mom, can you translate that dish into a recipe for me?" And she would go, "Yeah, here's a list of ingredients." Okay, and measurements were, "Oh, you can put a little bit of this in, and that, and a pinch of you know what, right? Oh, and don't forget that one ingredient." And that one ingredient, I had to guess. And don't get me started on the process of making this dish. No, the step-by-step, I had to figure it out by myself. She truly gifted me the gift of using all my senses. This is how she was taught by my grandma, and my grandma by her mom. Knowledge that was passed down from generation to generation. It is about this discovering. For me, it was about the discovery that food was more than only a concept, such as life. No, food holds a story. It has soul and sacred rituals, taking me back to my roots, to the indigenous philosophy of my people, saying that everything is connected. It is not only the spiritual, it's not only the physical, mentally, emotionally dimensions of it. Bringing everything into harmony brings your health back into harmony, brings your happiness rate up, and also nourishment, for the body. So intuition doesn't only play a part in my cooking. No, it also plays a part in my day-to-day life. Nevertheless, Western science dismissed intuition as a pseudoscience, a sort of a science, but not really. And I struggled with this for such a long time, because for me it is a very serious thing. But it also raises the question, how can I integrate these ancient philosophies into this modern life? Because in this Western society, we lead with logic thinking. We move with our conscious brain. It is cutting us off from our intuition, from our true self. We become human doers instead of human beings. Because in this society, we can manufacture almost anything. Because if we can think it, we can 3D print it, making food and even life into a science. So you catch my drift where my struggle comes from. Where is this intuition part? But fortunately, nowadays, Western science is getting on board. It's getting on board with ancient philosophies, because researchers have found this part of the brain where intuition does its brilliant best. Studies have shown that intuition happens in a part of the brain where things are offline. It is a real psychological response, a process. As I was saying, this process happens so quickly out of our own conscious awareness. It is cues from ourselves. It uses past experiences and also our environment to make a decision. Because our brain has two operating systems. The first one is very quick. This is where our intuition lies. So it happens offline. It is when you make a decision on when something feels bad or feels wrong. You don't need to think about it, your body will respond. Our second operating system is much slower. It is conscious. It is our logic. It is more analytical, more deliberate. So let's go back into the kitchen. Let's go back to food. Because in food, all our senses should play a role. And what those senses mean to us is different for everybody, because we all have different pasts. So we draw on different patterns. And when we think of food, the first sense we think of is probably taste. Everything should be in balance. But taste is not the only sense where we draw from. So if I jump back into the kitchen, imagine myself back with my mom, and open up all my senses, the following things are the things that I would notice. I would smell different aromas. I would hear spices pop in pans. I would feel the textures already in my mouth and how the taste would be. But it's so easy to forget to engage our senses into day-to-day life because of our fast-moving society. We want to have it quick and easy. We want to have a recipe that is logical, we can follow step by step, and hoping the end result looks the same as the picture next to it. But remember, by engaging our senses, this will unlock a bounty of information. It will unlock emotions. But not only that, it will unlock your own flow, your own rhythm. And this is the part of where intuition leads you, by trusting your gut. So now we talked a little bit about the 5 classical senses of smell, sight, hearing, taste, and touch. Once you get familiar with these senses, you will unlock a door, the door to your 6th sense, your intuition. And we can conclude that intuition is not logic. It is not a step-by-step process that can be explained. No, this comes from deep-seated knowledge. And if you get more familiar with it, you could probably make up your own creations by just thinking of one ingredient. So I'd like to invite you all to this little experiment that I want to do. So I'd like to all invite you to close your eyes. And if you are not comfortable closing your eyes, please soften your gaze. I want you all to take a deep breath in and out. Just follow the sound of my voice. Imagine seeing an apple. Let your intuition guide you here. Do you see your apple? Now, use your senses. Can you now smell that apple that's in front of you? Can you taste that apple? Can you even feel that texture of that apple? Or the sound it makes when you bite into it? Now imagine going to your pantry and opening up your pantry doors. What ingredients do you see? Maybe you will see some sugar or some vanilla. Maybe the smell of cinnamon will hit your nose. Salt, pepper, some chili flakes, some cloves, or maybe some flour. And what I always have in my pantry is some butter, maybe. Now, tap back into your intuition. Your intuition will tell you which ingredients pair well together. And before you know it, you made yourself a delicious dish with all these ingredients. Maybe a delicious apple pie. Now, draw your attention outwards again, letting sound back in, coming back into this room. And in 3, 2, 1, I would all like you to open your eyes again. Welcome back, everybody. So, show of hands, how many of you saw an apple? And for how many of you did this picture of that apple came to life when you opened up all your senses? And for how many of you made a delicious apple pie? Isn't intuition a brilliant thing? The sharper it gets, the better off it will be. So I would like to invite you all to dive deep into your intuition, to create those beautiful recipes that hold stories, that are sustainable, that you can remember, but also that others can remember. Because intuition exists in all of us, whether we acknowledge it or not. Intuition is something powerful and can lead you to beautiful insights. But we cannot only live with our intuition. We do not neglect our conscious mind. So, it is about balance. Balance and finding your own rhythm. So play with it, both your intuitive side and your rational side, becoming your authentic self in the kitchen and in life. Thank you.